this is Warhawk Beyond 2040, and welcome to a very special edition of the Progressive Rock and Metal album review series. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the short and very impressive catalogue from one of my favourite bands of all time in the progressive metal genre, the one and only Planet X. And this is a follow-up edition to the last one, where I talked about Derek Sherinian's entire solo catalogue of albums. So, Planet X was a band formed by keyboardist Derek Sherinian after the release of his solo debut recording Planet X of the same name. And Derek Sherinian took the concept of what was originally his solo project and transformed it into a full-fledged band in collaboration with drummer Virgil Donati, who was a huge part of the first album of Derek Sherinian. And Planet X combines all influences of heavy metal, progressive rock, jazz fusion, metal, progressive rock, you name it, it's all there, but it's very much its own beast and has its very own distinct sound. When you hear Planet X, you know straight away it's them because they have such a distinct sound. And although Derek Sherinian and Virgil Donati have always been at the helm of this band, they have had a number of different lineups. Sometimes a lineup would last for one album, then it would change. Guitarist Tony McAlpine, who also co-founded Planet X, was a huge part of the band's first couple of albums. And I can honestly tell you now, although Planet X's catalogue is very short, it's very impressive. All of these albums are fantastic and well produced, and they've also had a number of very notable special guests, which we will talk about as we go through this incredible catalogue. And there is no bad album in the catalogue of Planet X. They've got 4 albums, 3 studio albums, and 1 live album, and there is no weak album in this catalogue. Obviously, there are 1 or 2 that are a little bit better than others, but I think what everyone will appreciate about Planet X is these guys can really play. These guys don't mess about. They are indeed the real deal. So, if you're a fan of legato style of playing, shredding, chops galore, top notch musicianship, I think you're going to like Planet X very much. And even though Planet X was a short lived band, they made a huge impact and they made a huge impression on me. And, I've heard lots of different bands doing similar sort of things, but I don't think I've ever heard a band quite like Planet X who really delivered in the biggest way possible. So, as always, I'm going to be talking about each album individually, and I'll be choosing which one I think is the best one. Not easy, especially with 4 albums in this short catalogue, but any one of these albums could easily be number one because, just like as I mentioned in the Derek Sherinian solo catalogue review, they're all strong. There's no weak album. They're all good. And if you're looking to get into Planet X's music, any one of these albums you can start with. It's not even a case of, well, I'll start with the first one. Start with any of them. They're all good. You can't go wrong with any one of them. So we're going to start with the first album, which came out in 2000, and this is Universe. So Planet X is comprised on this album of keyboardist Derek Sherinian, drummer Virgil Donati, and guitarist Tony McAlpine, and special guest bassist Tom Kennedy from the Dave Weckl Band. And this album, just like Derek Sherinian's solo debut recording, Planet X's debut recording as a band delivers and really hits you across the face. This is no holds barred, anything goes, everything, including the kitchen sink, is all out there. These guys really make a statement, and I can tell you now, this is an unbelievable album to say the very least. If you're a fan of legato style of playing or shredding, you're going to love this. This is excellent stuff, and these guys, they can really play. Tony McAlpine really burns it up on the guitar. Derek Sherinian with his guitar-like keyboard shredders solos, and Virgil Donati, he's just an absolute powerhouse of a drummer, and his drumming really packs a hell of a punch. So let's have a look, shall we? And there they are. There are the guys. So all of the compositions are written and composed by Virgil Donati, Tony McAlpine, and Derek Sherinian, with the exception of 2 tracks written and composed by Virgil Donati. But this is a fantastic album and a great debut for Planet X. So tracks we got here are Colonus, Her Animal, Dog Boots, Bitch, King of the Universe, Inside Black, 2116, Pods of Trance, Chocolate, Warfinger, and Europa. Great, great collection of songs and a fine debut for Planet X as a band. Unbelievable soloing from Derek Sherinian, great guitar playing from Tony McAlpine, and great drumming from Virgil Donati. And Tom Kennedy, great bass work as well. So, what more can you ask for from this collection of monster talents? So, standout tracks for me are Colonus, King of the Universe, Pods of Trance, 2116, Dog Boots, Warfinger, and Europa. Great, great debut album, and one that I enjoy very much listening to. And these guys together is just absolute pure magic. Does not get any better than Planet X. So there you have it, Universe, a fine debut from a monster band. So we move on to the next album, which came out in 2002, and this one is called Moon Babies. Now, for me, this could very well be the band's strongest album in their entire catalogue, and that's not taking anything away from the first album, Universe, but I think there's just something about this album that really sticks out to me because everyone sounds really tight as a band, and I really feel that these guys were at the peak of their powers and certainly at their creative peak as well. And I just think this is a really good album. I think there's some really good, strong material, and the playing is just absolute top notch. And of course, the lineup is still the same: Derek Sherinian, Tony McAlpine, and Virgil Donati. And this time we've got a number of special guest bassists. Tom Kennedy returns from Universe, and also along with him is Jimmy Johnson and Billy Sheehan. And this, of course, was produced and mixed by Simon Phillips. What can you say, really? Aside from being one of the greatest drummers in the world, he's also one of the best producers in the world as well. And he's done a tremendous job on this album, and it's a great sounding album as well. Derek Sherinian, great keyboard playing as always. Tony McAlpine really burning it up on the guitar, and Virgil Donati bringing a lot of power and muscle in his drumming. And Tom Kennedy, Jimmy Johnson, and Billy Sheehan, although they're quite low in their bass playing, but they're still pretty rock solid, and they really work very well with Virgil Donati as a rhythm section. You know, all of these bass players on their own, they're all tremendous musicians in their own right. So let's have a look, shall we? Oh, don't we look so young? Love it. There's a little special thanks to everyone involved in the making of this album, from the band and everyone individually. There's Tony McAlpine, who, quite frankly, I saw a new picture of him not too long ago. He doesn't really look that much different, really. He looks pretty much the same. Oh, brilliant. Love it. Great stuff here. So all of the material is written and composed by Derek Sherinian and Tony McAlpine and Virgil Donati. And of course, there's a couple of contributions by Virgil Donati on his own, and there's a couple by Derek Sherinian on his own, and there's a couple by the entire band. But tremendous stuff here. So, tracks we got here are Moon Babies, The Noble Savage, Ataxia, 70 Veer, Micronesia, Interlude in Milan, Digital Vertigo, Ground Zero, Midnight's Bell, Ignotus per Ignotium. Great collection of material. Excellent from start to finish. Standout tracks for me are Moon Babies, Interlude in Milan, Digital Vertigo, Ground Zero, and Midnight's Bell. But I really enjoyed this album a lot and could very well be my all-time favourite Planet X album. And I think it's a really good album. No disrespect to Universe, I think it's good, but I think this one's just a little bit more stronger, maybe a little bit better as well. But I really like this album. I think it's really good, and it's one I listen to quite a lot. In fact, I listen to quite a lot of these albums, but this one I probably listen to maybe just a little bit more than the first album. And Moon Babies would mark the final appearance of Tony McAlpine as he would leave Planet X shortly after this album and the band's tour, leaving just Derek Sherinian and Virgil Donati at the helm. But he really goes out with a bang, and this is some of his best guitar playing, I think. He just sounds absolute pure dynamite. So there you have it, Moon Babies, one of Planet X's best albums, in my opinion, and certainly one of the strongest in this entire short catalogue. Excellent stuff. So we move on to the next album, and this is a live recording that came out in 2002, and this one is Live from Oz. So this is a tour that took place in Australia in support of the Universe album, and this is one of the best live albums I have ever heard. It's heavy, it's in your face, it's got it all. It's an absolute amazing live album. The production on here is top notch. The playing, the musicianship, and a lot of the material on here sounds even better live than it does in the studio. Not taking anything away from the studio cuts, but the material that's featured live really is brought to life, and it just sounds like, extensions of the original cuts. It's just so good. So, as always, Planet X is comprised of keyboardist Derek Sherinian, drummer Virgil Donati, and guitarist Tony McAlpine. And featured on bass here is Dave LaRue from the Dixie Dregs and the Steve Morse Band. And these guys together just sound really, really tight. And I love listening to this album a lot. And wow, what more can you say, really? It's really, really good. So let's have a look, shall we? Nice. I bet it was great to be there in person to see these guys. There they are. Excellent stuff. I do like that. That is a cool picture. It's so 2000s, but at the same time, so cool. I love it. So, as I said, a lot of the material that's featured on Live from Oz is mostly from Universe and from the first Derek Sherinian album, Planet X. So we got Ignotus per Ignotium, Inside Black, Dog Boots, and of course the classic Atlantis trilogy, Apocalypse 1470 BC, Sea of Antiquity, Lost Island, and then we go straight into a big Derek Sherinian solo. And then after that, we've got Warfinger, which goes straight into a Virgil Donati drum solo. and then it goes back into the Wolffinger reprise, and we've got a big Tony McAlpine solo, which really channels the spirit of Jeff Beck, and Derek Sherinian comes in and delivers a really nice, gorgeous keyboard soundscape, which reminds me of what Jeff Beck and Jan Hammer did many years earlier. Really, really gorgeous, and for me, it's probably the highlight of the entire album. It's just absolutely bone chilling. You can hear influences of Jeff Beck, Alan Holdsworth. It's all there. Really, really good performance. Then we got Her Animal, Europa, and Pods of Trance. Tremendous live album and one of the best ones I've ever heard. Standout tracks for me are Atlantis Trilogy, Derek Sherinian keyboard solo, Virgil Donati drum solo, Tony McAlpine solo, Her Animal, Inside Black, and Pods of Trance. Excellent live album from Planet X, and funny that this is the only live album that they've done, but this could very well be the best thing they've ever done too. It's really, really good. It's a fantastic live album. So there you have it, Planet X live from Oz. Excellent stuff. So we move on to the next album, and this one came out in 2007, and this one is called Quantum. So Tony McAlpine is gone, leaving only Derek Sherinian and Virgil Donati, and it's now gone from being a band to now just two guys and a revolving cast of different musicians. And this album is really, really good. And as I said, there's no bad album in Planet X, but I think this could very well be my all-time favourite Planet X album. It's a really good album, and it's got some very notable special guest appearances as well. So let's have a look, shall we? There we are. So all of the music is written and composed by Virgil Donati, except one track which was co-composed by Derek Sherinian, Virgil Donati, and Rufus Philpott. So we got Derek Sherinian on keyboards, Virgil Donati on drums, and special guest appearances from Brett Garside, Jimmy Johnson, Rufus Philpott, and the one and only, the legendary Alan Holdsworth. So let's have a look, shall we? There is the dynamic duo. And there's the special guests. So even without Tony McAlpine in the band anymore, Derek Sherinian and Virgil Donati don't miss a single beat. They don't miss a single step. They just soldier on, and they sound as good as they ever do. So we got Alien Hip Hop, Desert Girl, Matrix Gate, The Thinking Stone, Space Foam, Poland, Snuff, Kingdom of Dreams, and Quantum Fracture. Amazing album from start to finish, and every single track on this album is remarkably strong. The playing, the production, everything about it is just top notch. Standout tracks for me are Alien Hip Hop with some great shredding guitar playing from Brett Garside, great keyboard work from Derek Sherinian, great drumming from Virgil Donati. Desert Girl, what more can you say, really? Alan Holdsworth, he always sounds great, but he sounds even better on here. And, as I said before, as great as Alan Holdsworth sounds in the studio and live, he really shines as a special guest or as a sideman. I think I always consider him as like an ultimate weapon for the band he plays in. He just blows everyone away with his guitar playing and soloing, and he does it here again, and he just sounds amazing. Matrix Gates is another standout tracks for me. The Thinking Stone as well, which has got Alan Holdsworth, another great track as well. Poland is a great track. Quantum Factor is great with jaw-dropping drumming from Virgil Donati, who just absolutely smokes on this album. And Virgil Donati has got a very strong presence in composing, whereas the other albums, it was very much a band effort. Sherinian, McAlpine, and Donati would write all of the material. Virgil Donati on Quantum pretty much composed almost the entire album. And that doesn't hurt, but, I would say this is more Virgil Donati's thing, but it's still very much Derek Sherinian's baby, and he's got a very large presence on this album. And I think this is a tremendous Planet X album. I think out of all four albums, this could very well be my all-time favorite. I think this is just pure dynamite, and the very fact that you've got a special guest appearance from Alan Holdsworth just really makes this even better. So there you have it, Planet X Quantum, which would sadly mark the final studio album for Planet X, but what a way to go out. Tremendous stuff. Excellent. So there you have it, Quantum. Great album from Planet X. So which Planet X album do I think is the best one? Well, we've only got four albums to choose from, three studio albums and one live recording. They're all great. They're all a bit different, but they're all remarkably strong. Moon Babies, I would go out and say, is probably the band's best efforts. I think it's probably their strongest. Live from Oz, great live album, one of the best live albums I have ever heard. Universe is a good, strong debut album, but if I had to choose which one I think is the best Planet X album and my all-time favourite, I'm definitely going with Quantum. I think this is probably Planet X's best album, mainly because of Alan Holdsworth and Brett Garside. But I just think it's a very good, strong album and one that I reach out and listen to quite often. And I think it's just a kick ass album. But all of these albums are good. And as I said at the beginning, any one of these albums could easily be a number one or the best album on any given day. And who knows, maybe tomorrow I might think another album of Planet X is their best. But I think all of these albums are their best. But I think Quantum was just a little bit more special to me. And I think this is just an amazing album. So there you have it, Planet X Quantum, my all-time favourite Planet X recording from this band. And as I said before, Moon Babies, probably their strongest efforts as a band and certainly showcased at their peak. But for me, Quantum is the one that really stands out to me. Excellent stuff. And Planet X have been inactive ever since. They haven't put out an album in, I would say, probably around about 17 years now since Quantum. I know they've had the anthology box set with all of the albums remixed and remastered by Simon Phillips, so that's pretty good for anyone who hasn't purchased any of Planet X's stuff. But as far as new material, hasn't been any for years. Derek Sherinian is a very busy guy, playing and collaborating with just about everyone. Virgil Donati, also a very busy guy as well. So it's very hard to say whether or not we'll see a new Planet X album, but I really hope we do because it's long, long overdue, and it would be really good to hear Sherinian and Donati together one more time. And who knows, maybe even try and get Tony McAlpine back on board and really cook up a storm. So we'll just have to wait and see, really. But there you have it, Planet X, four albums, three studio albums, and one live recording. Short, but very impressive. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What's your favourite Planet X album? Is it Universe, Moon Babies, Live from Oz, or Quantum? There's no right or wrong answer. We all have our favourite albums. You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. And I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Progressive Rock and Metal album review series. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.